Hello everyone, my name is Henzi and I'm Managing Director of Mezzo Law Middle East. If you would like to know more about Mezzo, please do follow us on our LinkedIn, MEZZLE, or check out our website. For today's presentation, I've been asked to explain the difference between convertible notes and SAFEs. SAFE stands for a simple agreement for future equity. Future equity being essentially what both of these are. The convertible note and the SAFE both provide a mechanism whereby the company can receive an investment amount from an investor now, but the investor will only receive equity or shares in the company at some point in the future. If you'd like to have more information on convertible notes or SAFEs following this presentation, please do contact us at inquiry@mezzolaw.com. So it all started with the convertible note, and the convertible note usually has two mechanisms included in it. So the company will receive the investment amount now, but can either choose to pay that investment amount back to the investor in the form of a loan, which will accumulate interest and have a maturity date, or the investment amount plus the interest that has accumulated thereon will convert into shares in the company at such maturity date or the trigger points which are included in the convertible note. Each convertible note is different and is prepared in the form of an agreement, which is one of the reasons why YC came out with the SAFE. This follows a standard format that can be found online, which means that many people are familiar with it, which thereby reduces the amount of time for negotiations when entering into deals for investment for future equity. But the SAFE is not exactly like a convertible note. The SAFE does not have an interest rate built into it, nor does it have a maturity date. Instead, it has certain triggers whereby if those triggers are hit, the investment amount will convert into equity or shares in the company. There are 4 different kinds of SAFEs. There's the discount, the valuation cap, the discount and valuation cap, and the most favored nations clause. We will only focus on the first 3 since those are the ones that will be predominantly applicable to your situations. The names that are given to these are essentially the mechanism that you will pick to determine the price per share for the investment amount that has been given to you for each applicable SAFE. So the first type of SAFE that we will look at is the discount, bearing in mind again that the names of the SAFEs correlate with the formula you will use to determine the price per share for that investor at that time. The whole point of having a discount or applying the valuation cap or only using one or the other is to give the investor some sort of benefit for early investment and for taking a chance with you with the SAFEs. So before we explain the different kinds of SAFEs, one also needs to bear in mind that a regular trigger point is the next round of equity financing, or the next round of equity financing once it reaches a certain amount. So the next round of equity financing will mean that the company will be valued at a certain price and the price per share at that time will be determined. For the sake of our example, we've assumed that at such time of equity financing, the price per share will be $1. So if we apply a discount rate of 20%, so say we included in the SAFE that there would be a discount of 20%, that means that the investor will receive 1 share at a 20% discount. So instead of receiving each share at $1, applying the discount, the investor will receive each share at 80 cents. So say for example, the investor invested $1 million. That means that instead of receiving 1 million shares at $1 per share, if the discount is applied, the investor will instead receive 1,250,000 shares since he received each share at 80 cents. So now let's consider the valuation cap. So say for example, the valuation cap that was included in the SAFE was 5 million. Bearing in mind that the trigger point is the next round of equity financing in our example, the company may be valued at that time at 10 million. Therefore, applying the valuation cap formula, you would take the 5 million, which was the valuation cap mentioned in the SAFE, divided by the 10 million, which would be the valuation of the company at the trigger point, which is the next round of equity financing, and you get 0.5. So say again, as per our previous example, the price per share at that time is valued to be $1, and the investor has invested $1 million. That means that instead of receiving each share for $1, the investor will receive each share for 0.5. Therefore, if you convert the 1 million into shares at 0.5 per share, the investor will end up receiving 2 million shares in the company at that time. So where you have decided to go for the SAFE that has the discount and the valuation cap, you would determine the price per share and apply the one that is most beneficial to the investor. So whichever formula gives you the lowest price per share, that's the formula that would end up being applied when the SAFE converts to shares. One last thing to consider when you're going to be using the YC SAFE is that it is applicable to US laws and makes a lot of reference to the same. For this reason, even though we would suggest making as minimal amendments to the YC standard SAFE as possible, it may be necessary for these references to be removed in order to ensure compliance with the SAFE and ensure that it's relevant. We hope this presentation has been helpful and shed some light on convertible notes and SAFEs, and that you have a better understanding of them now. But as mentioned, should you require any additional information, please do reach out to us at inquiry@mezzalaw.com.